Hello friends, and welcome back to Enterprise Architecture. We are on to Season 2, Episode 2 of this new series, and we are off to a good start. We don't have a lot built yet, but we do have all of our Tier 1 production all set up in the last episode. Now, we have a couple of things on our list to do today. First and foremost, I went ahead and went to the Awesome Shop earlier and unlocked everything I could with some tickets I cheated in. We talked about this last episode. I am cheating in tickets. We have already been through the ticket production game, and sitting around and waiting is not a good use of our time. Not when I have so many other things in my life. So, that's what it's going to be. Second, we are going to go ahead and get started with our MAM research. So, let's go ahead and unlock that. I've already got it here selected. Perfect.
The map has been unlocked.
There we go. And now we have access to the MAM. Let's go ahead and set one of those up. We're going to put this right over here, as close as we can get it. There we go. Now, the first thing that we have on our list that we want to go after here is going to be our crystal. That's really going to be the thing that we want. We need quartz. Quartz gives us glass and a variety of other things. And that quartz is going to then be very, very useful in our base building. Now, as I mentioned in the last episode, we are right over top of the 2 quartz nodes that we used at the beginning of the last season. So we are going to make ourselves a ramp down to it. So we're just going to use our standard ramps for now. Unfortunately, it does not look like Smart Mod is working properly here, so I can't just zoop these into place the way that I normally would. All right, and now here is our quartz nodes, 2 of them in fact. I think if we clear this one off here, actually it looks like they're already cleared. I thought that that thing was sitting on top of them, but apparently not. That means that we can go ahead and put down our miners. So let's go ahead and put one here. And we are going to put another one right here, and those are both going to point towards our factory. So let's go ahead and run our belts back up to our main factory-ish area. Maybe we do this as a floor below here for quartz refinement. And then with that quartz, we're going to start unlocking some of our research. All right, before we can actually do anything with this, we do have to mine a little bit of it by hand so that we can access the MAM research. There we go. Perfect. All right, now we are good to go to set this up. So we are just going to start dumping in a whole bunch of quartz into this container until we have a stack, and then we're going to take it over to our MAM so that we can do our research. So I am starting to set up our assemblers, but until we have the MAM research unlocked, we can't really do anything with it. So we're just going to sit here. These don't have the recipes yet, so we're just going to hang out, and we are going to grab up our crystals in a moment. All right, well, our power production shut down once again. This is starting to feel a lot like our Satisfactory Plus playthrough. So I got up a bunch more of our leaves here, but no power to the system means no power to production of biomass. So that is a vicious cycle that we are immediately in. So what we're gonna do to get around that is we are gonna go ahead and find our Refined Power Mark 1 turbine. Let's just go ahead and unlock this real quick. Perfect. All right, so this means that with Refined Power, we can now use our wind power. This is going to do up to between 10 and 30 megawatts of power, and I believe that's going to be enough to power these. How much does this use? 4 megawatts, right. So we just need to build ourselves a single wind turbine for right now. Let's go ahead and put it there. So we are going to connect that directly to our first assembler. That's going to power our second assembler, and these should, in theory, just start working now. So this is starting to produce power. All right, and there we go. We just had to split off into a separate network real quick. That means we are now getting biomass production back up on online. We have plenty of leaves now here. And so this is going to be dedicated just to that one. Oh, but it looks like the output is too low. Okay, well, I'm going to put this up onto a large platform, and then hopefully that will fix our power issue here. 1 second. All right, I've built a platform that is 2 ladders high. Hopefully this will start to give us a lot more power off of it. Let's drop this down and connect it to that pole. And let's see how we do here. Okay, this is now reliably tapping out over 10 megawatts, which means that it is now plenty to run our machine. Oh no, oh no, oop. Yeah, it's good to know ladders have not improved at all in this game. That is still a major thing, is falling off ladders. All right, so let's turn this on now that we're getting at least 10 megawatts. All right, and now these are running, and now biomass is coming in and being produced, and now that's gonna go into our burners here. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this back on. All right, we finally got our power back online, and we actually only needed 5 crystals to unlock the quartz, so that's pretty good. And with that, we can now scan for those crystals. Now what we need to do is actually make our quartz crystals, so we can unlock that research. And then we also need to unlock silica. So those 2 things are done. We're pretty close now, once we make our silica, to be able to get blade runners, but we don't have any of our second tier construction just yet. So first things first, let's head back down to our factory area here and set ourselves up production of our quartz crystal and our silica. So this is all filling up nicely. Let's just dump those off. I think this one we're gonna go ahead and do our quartz crystal. And I forget, do we need the quartz crystal to make silica, or, oh no, straight into raw quartz. Okay, well let's see, this is gonna use 18 and a bit per minute to make quartz crystal, and this is gonna make silica. Well, I think we're gonna need silica more. So, and we have how much coming in? I think we have 120 coming in. So we can actually do more than this. This 18.75 nonsense just kind of makes me unhappy. So I tell you what, let's actually do 3 of these. And all of these are going to be making our quartz crystal. And then we're going to do on the other side another 3. And I think we were also going to use these potentially to make the silica. I think that we use those in solar panels as well, if I remember correctly, but it has been a second. I will tell you that right now, friends. So I'm not positive, but I do think we need carbon for that from our coal plant, or from our coal resource nodes down there below this. So again, these are going to be using a little less than 60, which is fine. It's all right, and we can overclock them later. We're about to get craftable slugs anyway, which is another mod that I've added to this pack. So that way we will be able to not be reliant on just the slugs that we found. Instead, we can generate those as we go. Okay, there we go. And let's go ahead and put in our Mark II belts here, because ideally we overclock all of these right up until the point where we have exactly 60 in each. Okay, so this is going to be doing our quartz crystal. This is going to be doing our silica. Let me just set these up real fast. All right, well, our power failed again here, so we have somewhat of a problem. That means that we are still not producing enough power, even with all of these biofuel burners. So I might take a quick second here, tear up this entire row of these, and build myself an even more expansive complex for power generation. Alright, so here's our first temporary power production factory. We have over here our biomass being produced out of our leaves that are coming out here. Oops, and it looks like I am missing a belt. That would explain some of my throughput issues. So all of that's going in here. That's getting turned into solid biofuel over on this side, and that's going into our conveyor walls there. Now, our actual power plant is pretty straightforward. We have 5 of our biomass generators on either side, and that's doing us well. Over here, we didn't have room for a full-size storage container, so instead, I'm using some small storage containers from Aquila's mods. Now, this guy is one of the most prolific mod authors in the game. He makes amazing mods, and this one is no exception. These are tiny storage containers. They hold about 2/3, I think, as much as a regular storage container, and we can just slip them right in here. It works perfectly. I think since each of these is only using 2 per minute, we will be okay, because that's only 20 pieces of biofuel all said and done that this factory is currently using. But we do need to have a more sustainable source of biofuel at some point, and I have some plans for that if we have time today. I've moved the hub over here. That was on the other side of this, and this is working well. Of course, the equipment workshop, the MAM, all of that stuff, and our awesome shop are over here too. So now our factory is back up and running. That means we can go and check on our production of our crystals. So we should have some silica and some lovely, lovely crystals now. There we go, a whole bunch of silica. And on this side, where are our processed crystals? There we go, quartz crystal. All right, so let's head on back over to the MAM and check off this next quest. All right, we have plenty of modular plates for the crystal oscillator. We can't get our blade runners yet because I do not have modular frames and I haven't found any at any crash sites yet. I do think that we can go ahead and get some more storage space with our pocket dimension. We don't need the Nobelisk yet. We don't need the Explorer yet, so I think we're actually pretty good on this quest. The main thing here is that now we should have enough tickets and silica unlocked so that we can start getting our glass. So let's see here. Have we now unlocked all of that lovely, lovely glass? We don't have steel framed windows yet, but we do have that glass. Anything else here? No, still missing steel. So we can do the glass roofs, we can do the tar roofs, and I think that might be it for now. Yeah, so we do have glass. So let's go ahead and buy all of those up. Okay, wonderful. And maybe we go ahead and immediately use that to make this terrible, terrible looking facility look a little bit better. So maybe I just take out these walls. And then I'm going to put in some glass walls here just as a temporary structure. I think the panel walls will look nice in that. There we go. We'll do one row there, and we'll do another row over on this side. Let's go ahead and take these out. Perfect. And panel windows. Looking better already. Already starting to look like a designed factory. Now, I do still need to figure out my power situation here, and I think to that end, we are going to start on a new set of quests. So, let's take a look here. Under Tier 2, we have basic farming. So, I think this could be the way that we get our biomass to produce here, because then we don't have to go around picking leaves. And we can pretty much live off running biofuel generators for pretty much as long as we want, pretty much forever. At least to get us through the rest of Tier 1 and 2 and into Tier 3. So let's go ahead and select this milestone. Now for that, we do need to start producing our other parts here. Now, have we actually unlocked those parts yet? We have not. So let me take that back. First, we need to do part assembly, because until we get to that, we can't actually make the reinforced plates, the rotors, and all of that good stuff. So we have most of the things we need here. If we head on over to our copper factory, I believe I have all of the cables I need ready to go that I can pick up. And then we just need to go over to our iron factory and pick up the rods and plates out of there. I know I have plenty of those, no problem. All right, with that little chore done, we now have everything that we need. Launch that. Perfect. And now we can take our various iron ingredients here and start making the next tier of our resources. We have all of our various iron ingredients coming off of this side of this platform. So off of this, I could then put my next factory on this side, and I could basically build 3 factories here at this point, because we need all of those ingredients: reinforced plates, modular frames, and rotors, all right here. So maybe that's what I do, is I start building the factory out over this lake. So let's see here. If I just come this way with it, and let's just go down, I don't know, that many? 10? 10 sounds good. And let's just make it 11 for nice odd numbers. And from here, I believe, since my ingredients are coming in this side, I'm going to need 2 ingredients per individual factory that we are going to be building. It's basically 3 factories here. And so I think the general layout here, because we're going to be needing to use constructors now instead, or excuse me, assemblers instead of constructors. So those are a little bigger here. So I think we're going to do a standard modular little factory like I like to do typically when I'm playing this. We're going to give ourselves 1 gap clearance here. This will allow us to do our belt routing, because these are going to twist and turn and overlap and duplicate and be super weird. And then the actual factory is going to start here. This is going to be the actual entrance to the factory. And I think we will go ahead and make our items come in here first. So let's change here and use our wall. I'm going to use a double wall hole just so we can keep track of everything. And then our ingredients are actually going to run down this direction. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll go this way. Let's go like 9. That's way bigger than this needs to be, but whatever. It'll be perfectly fine the way it is. We're going to go ahead and go down 9 like this, because we do have all 4 of these iron nodes that we need to use up, or that we will be using up, I should say. There we go. Okay, so items are going to come in here. I'm going to do some logistics of some sort here, probably an over-under. Ah, there we go, stackable conveyors. Okay, great. We have those. And I believe this mod pack also has a additional version of that. Hold on one second. Ah, here we go. Before we get started on that, we do want to come back over here and unlock the X3 splitter merger poles. These just give us a way of having splitters and mergers that are not on the ground. I'm a huge fan of the idea of this mod. I have not used it yet, but I believe that just adds these two, right? So now we have a splitter merger pole. We can just plonk this down anywhere we want. And now we can put a splitter or a merger right on top of it, and it sits perfectly at that second tier, right where all of our general items are going to be coming in and out for that second layer of production. So that is exactly what we want here. That is going to be super great. All right, so let's go ahead and set this up. Ooh, why are you mixed? Oh, it's just because this isn't in the first slot, right? Yeah, that'll sort itself out. No biggie. Okay. So now we can go ahead and start laying this out. So every one of our assemblers is going to start here. So let's go ahead and figure this out. Assemblers go basically right like that. And they go a little more than one, or a little less than 2 foundations wide. They're chunky things. So the first input we are going to do from here, and then we're going to use our new poles that we just got here, and maybe we should go ahead and add our new poles into our menu. Which one do we want? That one looks cool. That one looks cool. We're going to do these. Let's make that number 7. All right, so let's go ahead and put these down, lining up with our other slot here. So this is going to go right here. Oh, you know what? That is rotated the wrong way. Let's go ahead and try that one more time. We're going to rotate it this way. There we go. And now we can put our splitter on top of this thing. There we go. Input there. And with any luck, I believe these will fit right in here. Yeah, well, nice. That is tidy. I really like that. All right. So let's go ahead and put our conveyor belt Mark IIs in there. Why not? We can upgrade these as well. And now we can just tell this which we want to do. So I think we start here with our modular frames. We have no source of that. That means we need reinforced iron plates. Oh, well, that means we need to start with reinforced plates, doesn't it? Iron plates and screws. Easy, easy money. All right, so let's go ahead and build out a few more of these, and then I'm gonna connect up the output of this as well. Again, you've already seen me build out this factory a million times, so let me go ahead and set this up real quick, and I will be back in a flash. All right, and there we go. The first of our screws coming in. Our iron plates are already coming into our nice new orange factory building here. These are going straight into our assemblers and getting split into these first 2. I think that's all we're going to do for now, is just the 2. We are going to tell these that they are going to be making our reinforced iron plates for us. I think I did not set the other one yet. Let's go ahead and do that. There we go. Perfect. And now the outputs are going to get merged per usual, and I jammed this storage container right here, right against the edge of the wall. This fits really nicely for us, actually. So now all of our extra reinforced iron plates are right there in the building. That keeps us from having to have all of these storage containers on the outside. It's a nice little pattern that works well. It actually doesn't hold that much more than the mini storage containers, but it'll do for us for now. We can always replace it with a double tall one if we want later. So yeah, reinforced plates are now done. Okay, So let me go ahead and set up our other 3 factories real quick here, which will be, again, exactly identical to this one. All right, all 3 factories are now complete. I only have 2 assemblers each just because we're not making that many of our basic parts that we can really keep up with more than that yet. But one thing I did want to talk about is this pattern right here for my output from the factories. Now, we have our mergers per usual going down in a line here. And those are coming out the side here. Rather than having a 4 wide factory, I made a 5 wide factory. Always give yourself more room, folks. This is a mistake I make every time. And over here, I have a splitter that merger is going into. Now this splitter goes into a storage container and to a direct output. Now the idea here is that ideally what you end up happening is this storage container is where you have the long-term storage of extra parts. So basically we could use a smaller storage container if we wanted. The small storage container that I was mentioning earlier would actually be a perfect fit for this. But this way you can continue to have a backflow of our various items. So that's going to be really helpful for us so that we can just come in here and pick up and grab some rotors if we need. All right, all of our factories are now done, but we are not done yet because this, of course, is enterprise architecture. And it's not an enterprise architecture build unless we actually go back and do the deco work that we need. So to that end, I've unlocked the signs from our MAM, or excuse me, from the store. I bought those real quick. That's one thing we were missing, but we can buy now with silica. The other thing I'm going to do real quick here is add the X3 lights. These are cheaper lights that we can build if we want them. I haven't played with these at all, but I think they work just like our normal lights here. And those are right here. The street light, ceiling light, flood tower light, wall mounted light, and our lights control panel. So we can go ahead and use those earlier in the game than we could before. We also have a keyless upside down foundation mod, which has a variety of new foundations for us to use. And most importantly, y'all who have been around for a little while, you know my #1 complaint in Satisfactory is that we have not had paintables before. We've had concrete that we can sort of kind of paint and still kind of looks like it's the original color, but these paintables are exactly the color that you paint them. There's no hue adjustment. It just does the thing, and I love them. So good. We are going to be using those as well as we build. But to start off here, I'm going to start with these 3 buildings over here. Now, I did also install the mod that gives us fine-tuned adjustments, and in our rotation, that is. And the Aquila mod also is going to give us the ability to use foundations that are already pre-rotated for us, I believe. So we have like this, like that's a 60-degree foundation we just plonk down onto the grid. That is wonderful for us because I think I want to play with maybe some hexagons and stuff, which we haven't done before in a lot of our builds previously. Now that's going to require refactoring out these facilities a bit here. So I'm going to play with this for a little while, and I think what I want to do is start by using some big chunky foundations off of everything. And of course this is getting into the sort of the Fluxo style of build, right? Where you're using big foundations to create your structures. Let's go ahead and change that material to like asphalt maybe. I think that's what we want here. Concrete foundation, yeah. Concrete's fine. Asphalt. Oh, we can't change that one for some reason. I don't know why. And asphalt looks about the same. Okay. Let's go back to concrete for now. So we're going to use this sort of thing here, I think. Just like this. As sort of a part that's going to be poking out over top. And I think then we are going to sweep back the sides here. I think we can get away with that. Is there anything in here? Nothing that I'm really especially... Oh! Whoa, that was close. Now, I think what we want to start with here is a 30-degree foundation on this corner. That looks to be about right. And now if I put a foundation on top of that, make ourselves a little stack here. When I put this on top, that should sweep back very nicely in a 60-degree angle. Now, again, we do not have micromanage, so I cannot perfectly go and clean that up the way that I normally would, so it's perfectly in alignment, but this is going to work fine for us here for a 60-degree angle. A lot of people would, at this point, be considering doing a 45-degree angle instead so that it'll sweep back nicely. You can do that with a road barrier, but you know what? I don't want to do that. I want to buck tradition here, and I'm going to go with 60s. So let's see if I can get this lined up into place on the other side very nicely. There we go, just like that. Can drop some foundations on top of that thing. And there we go. That's starting to give us sort of the thing that we are looking for. Okay. Pretty good. Let's go ahead and see what this looks like if we make this chunky. Alright, and we've got some weird things going on with the angles here. I might go ahead and play with these a little bit to see if I can't get this lined up a little nicer, but I think we're at least in the ballpark here. Oh, you know what else I'm seeing? Or I'm not seeing? A little bit of Z-fighting, but for the most part, it looks like the Z-fighting is pretty tame here, so that's actually nice. Just a little bit right there. All right, so yeah, let me play with this a little bit. Let me see what I can do as far as lining these up nice and neat. This might just have to be as close as we get with it. I'm not really worried about it, but I think from a distance that's going to look fine, at least until, like I said, micromanages back up and online. All right, I think we are starting to generally get into the box of where I want this to go. It still needs a lot of detailing, it still needs a lot of work, but I think this is the general idea we're going with here. So I've got these sweeping back on 60-degree angles here, which is pretty dramatic of an interface. I think it looks much more interesting than just the standard 45s a lot of other folks use. But then it does sweep back here into a nice linear section. And the reason that we have to do that is inside, we still do need to have clearance for a row of machines coming back. And other than doing like an undulating wall here where it weaves in and out, I don't really know a great way to go about that. I might go ahead and notch these in a little bit, like half a foundation back here for some of these as like pillars that kind of move in or something, or maybe they come out. Still need to figure that out just to break up this big flat vertical slab. That's something we're gonna have to think about. But for now, I think I'm going to slap a roof on this, look at how I want to paint it up a little bit, and then repeat this for my other two buildings here. And this is gonna be my basic factory foundation sort of look and feel, I think, at least for right now. I think we're getting there. You'll also note I'm using Aquila's wall hole mod as well, which lets you put wall holes anywhere you want. And then I don't have to worry so much about the fact that my wall holes do not match up on a standard foundation grid. We can still suck things right in, and you'll see they go right into our normal path here. And that works pretty darn well, actually, surprisingly well on both sides with no trouble. So yeah, wall holes, super great, especially when you can put them wherever you want. All right, so let me work on this a little bit more and back in a flash. All right, so now we're starting to come together. We've got it all nicely illuminated. We use some of those cheap lights here that you can see. It's giving us a nice little glow, and these blue signs, I think, the label signs, work really nicely to kind of make this look real crispy in the dark. So I think that is a pretty good start to it. I need to finish wrapping the lights around here and start doing the other buildings and then put a roof on it. And I think this will be just about good to go. So let me finish that up real quick and we'll start working on these others. All right, I think we have our finished factory design, at least for now. So we went ahead and wrapped our lights around these and have all three of these in this sort of like hex-fronted shape that I described. And that worked out pretty well for us. There are a few things that I think are not perfect here. Notably, the small signs keep, oh, that hurt, keep losing their color. I don't know why. We might have to stop using small square signs for a while until that bug gets fixed, but those just randomly stop glowing the color that you assign to them. But everything else is nice and blue here. Over here on the other side, I just did a really quick design on our tier 1 factories. I just put some of these corner pipes on there, quarter pipes in the corners and whatnot. I think that looks pretty okay. And I put this underlighting under it and give it a little, you know, brutalist sort of feel to it. And then, of course, I'm adding these structural solution curved fences around the edges just to make it kind of matchy-matchy there. Now, inside here, I've run all of my logistics down through the floor. I'm using the same basic pattern that we had before, just everything is underground here, tucked away, and we can look at that real quick. Let's just go ahead and enter in fly mode, and we're gonna enter in no clip mode. There we go, and now we can just sink through the floor. There we go. So most of our tier 1 items are coming in here, and most of our tier 2s are going in on this second tier. Now, those all come up over to our main factory, or what used to be our main factory. Now it's just got the hub, and we've got our small storage containers, so we have a shopping mall here. So we can go ahead and pick up any of these items that we need out of these small storage containers. Now, I did go ahead and put the railings around the top of this, like I said, but I have to admit, I don't think this design is going to work for us in the long term. You can kind of see right here the problem. I needed to expand our rod production because rods are extremely inefficient. You know, it's only 7.5 per minute. That means we need a lot more rods that'll fit in here. And this is already full up even just from barely 1.5 of our miners. We need to expand this further. Then our nail production is going to, or excuse me, our screw production needs to also grow to match that. So we're gonna have to figure out something here. I think we're probably gonna end up going vertical. I think we're gonna go up to a second tier for these because I've got 4 iron nodes over here that all need to be accounted for. So that needs to happen. So I think I'll probably redo all of these and not just have these regular caps on there, but some sort of a more interesting design that lets me go up vertically with them. But for now, this is certainly gonna do. Now, this was also really laborious to put this together. This took me a couple of hours actually for all of this because we don't have blueprints yet. And although I like the way that it turned out, I think we need something a little bit simpler, or at least blueprints to make it easier before we start on our other 2 bases, our copper production and our limestone production. Those both need something easier for us to put together. So I need to rethink that a little bit. We might copy this overall design once we get a second tier on it and I figure out how I want that to work. But at least this gets us the general ballpark. Now, next episode, I think we start getting ourselves into farming. I noticed a couple of dirt nodes nearby here that I would like to use, and that will solve our power production problems in the short term because then we'll have a source of biofuel. So we're going to get started on that next. But for now, that brings us to the end of this episode of Enterprise Architecture. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you back here next time. Bye, friends!